Yeah, good, thank you.
Good.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Premier League press conference to preview our game against Newcastle. We'll start off with Vinny from Sky.
David, first of all, going back to Newcastle, good memories of the last game of last season, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. It was a great win for us, considering Newcastle. I think we're trying to qualify for Champions League, and did on the end day from their point of view. But yeah, always good to try and back it up if we can.
It feels like another key moment in your season, though, with Newcastle just a point behind you. So again, you're fighting for league position this weekend.
Yeah, but I think the Premier League's like that anyway. I think that there's a lot of teams, and one result can send you up a bit or send you down a bit, depending on how it goes.
With Newcastle, though, does it in some ways show the difficulty of maintaining league form with European competition as well? A challenge that you hope will be facing you in the not too distant future.
Well, I think Newcastle have done a remarkable. They're the last 16 in the Champions League. The level of the games you have to play and the teams that have to play in the group stages to be in that position. So great credit to them. And but yeah, it can have an effect on your sort of Premier League games, your bread and butter, really. Much like I'd seen it in the Europa League and in the Conference League as well.
As a fellow manager as well, how do you put into context the job that Eddie's done up there?
Well, I think he's done a brilliant job. I think everybody knows that. I think he's given Newcastle success. He's won a trophy with them. He's getting them in European football, which I'm sure all the Geordies are happy to be watching.
For yourself, David, at the minute, obviously you want your best players on the pitch at any given time. But when a player is natural in a position and left out for someone who isn't natural in that position, how much of that is a wake-up call, do you hope, for them to raise their levels?
I don't quite understand your question, but you can ask me again.
Say, obviously with Jared playing left back, for instance, or Harrison playing out down the left-hand side, there are players who can come in who are natural in that position. If those players are being left out, are you asking for them, look, your levels need to be that much higher?
No, not really. I think it's the first time we've probably had enough players to rotate and try things. Jared Branthwaite's as comfortable at left back as he is at centre back. I think I mentioned on TV the other day, quite often when you're a young midfield player, central midfield player, you find your way into the first team, probably playing off the sides. I think Mikel Arteta, when he came here, probably had to do the same thing. And I mentioned, when you're a young centre back, quite often you find your way getting into the team starting at full back, because that's where you are. That's where you're put, because you're probably not physically and all the levels ready to do it in the big positions. So it was part of it. Harrison's great development for him, getting plenty of games. Jared Branthwaite, as I said, is comfortable in both positions, so it's easy. And we've also got enough players to rotate around a little bit.
Do you feel as well, though, at this point in the season, it's one of those periods where the fine margins are just going a little bit against you? And I say that because of the 5 defeats in the last 13, only 2 have been by more than 1 goal.
Yeah, the games have been tight, but the Premier League suggesting that all season. That I think it'll remain tight. The way the teams are, there's a lot of teams fighting for, probably from 7th position down to about 15th. You could end up anywhere really in those league positions at the moment. So every win you get is important. Every defeat, it's been quite narrow in a lot of the games.
We have spoken many times about the opportunity to qualify for Europe this season, and it's obviously still there. But at the same time, how much of achievement would it still be to finish in the top half at least anyway, given where you've come from? Well,
we're not quite ready to give up that our ambition is to try and make Europe, so we don't want to give that up. We're going to try and keep going for it. Why would we not? I could easily turn up here and say, hey, by the way, we're having a pretty comfortable season, so let's forget about it. But it's the opposite. We're desperately trying to keep pushing. I think I said a few weeks ago we'll need to win some big games on the journey if we're going to do that, and we've got a really big game at Newcastle coming up tomorrow.
Thanks, David. Good luck.
Cheers.
Thanks, Finny. We'll go to Naz at Premier League Productions.
Hi there.
Hi, David. With 11 games to go, in terms of league position and points, are you where you want to be, or is there a sense of frustration, especially with some of those narrow defeats, that you could be a little bit higher, couldn't you?
Yeah, we could be, but we also have had quite a lot of narrow victories away from home as well. We've won games tightly. We only need to go back to Old Trafford, where we won with 10 men at Old Trafford on the night. We got a goal in the last second against Brighton, so we've done the same away from home as well. But this is what I'm referring to. I think the Premier League this year is really tight, and you know, there's not many games I think you're running away with them in any way. You know, we got a really good result against Fulham a couple of weeks ago away from home, but again, incredibly tight the games. You know, nothing's stood out really in any of the games that you've won really comfortably or won by many goals. We certainly have, that's for sure.
And in terms of Premier League away games, St James's Park is always special, isn't it?
Oh, it's a great stadium. You know, I think it's a real iconic sort of stadium, really fitting for the northeast really in some ways, St James's Park. So and I think over the years they've done a really good job in trying to better it inside the stadium, you know, enhance it, and you know, I don't think it would be easy to get a ticket for any Newcastle game at the moment, that's for sure.
And just finally from me, I want to focus on James Garner. How good is he, and how much better can he get in the time that you've managed him?
I think James Garner's played really well this season. He's predominantly a midfield player but can play in several positions. We had to play him left back at the start of the season in a couple of games when we didn't have MD available, and we've had to play him at right back in different times because we think he's as good as MD there. And also, you know, but in midfield he's been excellent. I actually believe he's getting close to being the levels to play for his country. So hopefully he can keep that up and could possibly get selected.
Best of luck. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Now we go to Julia, Radio Merseyside.
Hi, David.
Hi there.
Just on that James Garner thing, the stats at the moment, he's in the top 5 players in the Premier League group when you add them all together. So people like Declan Rice, he's in that level of stats. When you take him out the midfield, is that a big risk for you, and how do you balance that up?
It's a big risk because we know he's so good in there. But sometimes you have to make these decisions and think what are the best options.
Does that show still how small your squad is and the work that's still to do?
I think that we've said quite often that we've probably been short of a right back. I think we made that clear that we were looking, I think we've been looking for about a year for one. So I think we've been short at times in that area. But Jacob Ryan's done a great job for us over, you know, when I came in, not much more than just over a year ago now. You know, everybody was looking for Jake to be in the team. We got him in the team. And he's done a great job at right back, really has.
The home game, you were massively disappointed with the performance against Newcastle. Are you a different side now moving on? Have you improved in areas, do you feel?
I don't know about that because obviously we're without Jack Grealish, who's made a huge impact in the early part of the season for us. I hope we're a bit more streetwise than we were that night. We lost a couple of goals from corner kicks, which was probably the key part of the game, if we're being honest. We lost a goal after 25 seconds, so we were on the back foot from minute 1. So hopefully we can sort of overcome those parts of the game. But you know, Newcastle are a good side. You know, they're beating good teams in Europe, so it's not going to be an easy game.
When you talk about, you know, having to move people into other positions, Asnu, Dibbling, Merlin Roll, they're younger members of your squad. How close are they to get into a starting position?
Some of them quite close, some of them not so close. You know, we're trying to keep our ambitions going and trying to see if we can be near the top or stay in the top half of the league, or, you know, if we're lucky enough, you know, make Europe. So I want to try and play the players who I think are our best chance of getting us those results.
What do they have to do then?
Improve.
Simple as that. Can I just quickly check on injuries? Obviously, apart from the obvious ones, and there's no Jack Grealish. Everyone else okay?
Charlie Alcaraz has got an injury which is probably going to keep him out for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we think. Yeah. We picked it up in the last minute in training on whatever day it was, Sunday I think it was, yeah. So he was a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, that's frustrating for him as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because he would have probably started on Monday night if he hadn't picked up the injury.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, Julia. Any further questions in the open section before we move on? No? Okay, thank you.
Cheers, David.
Cheers.